welcome to my studio. Today we're working on our string pumpkins. These are a lot of fun. The great thing is you're just going to use crochet thread, so they're real inexpensive and they're a great project. So let's get started. To do our string pumpkins, we're going to use crochet thread, and I look for my crochet thread in the thrift stores. I have found so many there for pennies because nobody seems to want to buy it, especially my fall colors. If you're having problems, you might try like Hobby Lobby or some of the bigger craft stores, but also online. But the thrift store is a good option. So I like the little bit bigger ones. I have some smaller ones. I may try this later, but it's so thin I worry about the support, but I love the colors, the variegated colors. But your pumpkins don't have to be just orange. They could be like a nice straw yellow. So I'm actually going to do this one in a yellow, and we're going to use a balloon for our base. And I went to the store, got a party pack. You could use the bigger balloons, or you could use the little water balloon size. It's totally up to you what size you want to use. And if you get a variety pack, then you have a different sizes. So that's totally whatever you want. I want a medium size here. And I'm probably going to use just a bigger one and not blow it up as much. And I don't blow up balloons. I just don't like to do it. It hurts my ears. So I get a balloon blower, and these are at your 99-cent store for $1, of course. So invest in that and just do it that way. Just pull this nice and tight. Another thing we can do is we can run a string around it to help pull that tighter. And we'll get this going here. So, due to our malfunction, I still got it blown up. And I don't want it so tight that I can't bend it and manipulate it a bit. So, and I want you to think about another thing on this guy. You can see he's more flat up there than he is here. So think about that being maybe your top more than this side here. We're going to be using Mod Podge. Today I'm using just regular Mod Podge. I'm going to choose to use matte. That's just what I have. I think the matte would look better with this project, but you can use anything you would like. I've tried different things. I've tried the sugar water. I've tried different stiffeners and things, and I always come back to the Mod Podge. And living in the mountains, I worry a little bit about things with having sugar on them as well. I don't want any little critters getting into them. So that's just my preference. I'm going to leave that just a second here. I'm going to start some of this, and there's a few ways we can do this. You can dunk it in there or put some in here and kind of dip it and work as you're going and just keep on going. That's going to kind of depend how you decide you want to do it. And I probably should get a tray or some paper under me so I'm not making a mess on my table. And I think I'm going to kind of do almost a combination of both of those things that I was just talking about as well, and see how that kind of works. So I decided I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to pour it into, this is a little roller dish, but you could use any shallow type of dish, and I'm going to kind of keep my thread in there a little bit at a time, not so much that it tangles up, and run it through and kind of soak it up with the Mod Podge. And you can even kind of tie that on if you needed to, but I'm going to try to just overlap it. And we don't want so much of it here that you have it kind of get in between the strings. And I've caught up to my little string here, so we're going to pull some more of this. And this is a messy job. Get your paper out or your tray out or whatever you want. Be working on that. And I'm going to put a little bit more in. Make sure that's nice and coated. You're going to have to use more Mod Podge as you go along here. You might need a roll of paper towels as well. So, but you want to make sure each one is nice and coated, that you don't have any soft on it. And we just want to start applying this really random, but you want to make sure that you have it even, that you don't have any areas that are real heavy or real light as you're working. You want to keep at as even as possible. So I'm going to pull some more here, start soaking that, and then I'll show you a little bit more in a second. So I continue doing that, and the reason I don't put a whole bunch in there is, again, once you start to get that tangled up, it's kind of a mess. I've also put it on the balloon and then tried to put it on with the brush, and that works okay, but then you have all of the stuff in between, and you may not like that, and you may like that look. That's totally up to you. How much you decide to put on is, again, another option. Like right now, I would not want to do this little because you need enough of the support that it supports the pumpkin. So I'm going to probably do probably 2 more times this much minimum. So continue working till you have enough, and when you finish off your end, just make sure you have that nice and tucked in. You can do them in smaller strands, just make sure your ends are in really well. You don't want a whole bunch of little strands, but that's something else to think about. And turn it around and try to cover up the bigger areas, and be careful when you're moving it that you don't move it down with your finger. You want to keep it as straight as kind of possible. Once we've got our ends all tucked in and everything, I'm going to let him dry. I might try and set this guy a little bit down so his little bottom part will be flatter. You also could hang him up so he gets the air and dries faster. So that you have those 2 options, but make sure that he dries really, really well before we start applying all of our little ridges and everything onto him before we continue. While our balloon's drying, there's a couple of little things we can work on, and I'm going to do burlap leaves, and I got a little green roll at the dollar store, and this one I made little crochet leaves, and if you like that better, you can do that. Just think about the size that you're using. I did mine also in the green embroidery, or excuse me, crochet thread. But I think I'm going to use these. You can also stiffen these up by putting the Mod Podge on them. But I just simply take my scissors and cut a leaf shape. I usually kind of go a little bit slanted so I can get a bigger leaf out of it. I think these will be about the right size for our pumpkin here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glitter to these just to give it a little sparkle. I am going to just use some glitter glue that I have. You can use glue and glitter, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to grab something here to use the back of. And you could even do gold, whatever color you kind of think you needed. I don't know if I've even opened up this guy yet. I picked these up at a 99-cent store. I got all my Christmas colors. What a good deal. Those used to be so expensive. So we're going to just put some green on that. And I'm just going to kind of do it in the middle. You also could even kind of do a stem down there if you like that look better. Just to do a one stem. So however you feel that those should be. There is no right or wrong. Another thing that I looked at was felt. I even had some little leaves that I found that I think would be really cute. These were little plastic leaves. I think I actually found these. They weren't a kind of like a confetti thing. And I did go ahead and try the smaller thread, and that seemed to be okay. I think I would do a little bit more, but when those leaves look really good with that guy. So you have to consider the size of your pumpkin and everything when you're working on those. So I'm going to do 3. We always want to keep them odd. And I know I've got a third one running around here somewhere when you're putting your leaves on. So you want to keep it odd. It's more pleasing to the eye than even. So we're going to put 3 leaves on our pumpkin. If you've seen my videos, I'm sorry that I always repeat that, but that's one of the things that we always try to do is make them even. So this is our little guy that's all dry now. Now I do want to show you something. See the bottom of this? The balloon started to shrink. So make sure your balloons are tied really, really well. That's what happens when it starts to shrink. But the top of it's going to be just fine. I wish I'd done some more on this. I wish I hadn't just stopped with that much. I probably would have done almost maybe twice that much. It's a little bit narrower thread than the other balloon I did. So if you can pull the knot up through here, you can cut under it. If you can't, we'll just go somewhere and just kind of get that to pop, or cut a piece where the air can start to come out. And we're just going to start letting air out of this balloon. I hate balloons popping, but it seems to be when you put this stuff on them, they don't seem to pop the way they do if they're nice and full and fresh. So, okay, guy, come on, let's start getting some air going out here. You don't want to push those in. As you can see, you start to lose that. Usually they will just crinkle away from the edges and start to just go right up. But for some reason, I think because this guy wasn't as tight as he was in the beginning, there he goes. They usually just go just like that. And that's why you want to keep your little part up here at the very top so as you can just pull that out when we're done. I've got to remove a couple of strands right there. Another thing is if your knots get tangled up as you're working on it, just cut them out and keep on going. Don't worry about it. I think we have a little bit of air left in this guy. Maybe it is a good thing he's not too tight there. Okay, so get all of that out of there. You can see we have a little bit of leftover Mod Podge that has gone in between. You can take your stiff paintbrush if you want to and kind of poke that through and get rid of it if you want. If it doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. I'm going to try and wrangle this real quick here. So we're going to go ahead and tie this guy now into, to give him his ridges. And we want to do, we'll cut him in half first. And we want to pull it in a little bit. And I did try to do this while the pumpkin was wet, and it doesn't really work. It just makes the string kind of bulk up and doesn't lay nice. So that's the reason that we don't do it while it is wet. It doesn't work on laying real nice. And another thing you could do is if you're having problems with it sliding around, you could even hot glue it onto the bottom so that it would stay. I'm going to pull it a little bit. I was hoping these sides would come in a little bit more, but my top seems to be coming in more than my sides do. There it goes a little bit. So it may not go as much as you want it to. It's just going to depend on how much thread, a lot of factors. My little one, actually, I was able to do him more than my big one. I don't want that squished down too much because I still want to get the top on there and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this guy off. And Now we still got 2 more to do. So we want to do one that way and one that way. And get those as even as you possibly can. So I'm going to tie this guy in between here. And I probably should have made his knot just a little bit longer. And then the last time here. And we're going to cover this up with our stem when we get it on top, and our leaves. We've got all those leaves to get on here too still, so not a big deal. Okay, so I've got that all tied, and if you need to pull it out, if you pushed any in, pull it out. So I'm going to use paper twist for my pumpkin stem, and I find mine at Hobby Lobby. And I usually unwrap it, and if I'm going to leave that end in, but I'm going to unwrap this bottom part. I like making pumpkin stems this way. I do this a lot. It just, I think, looks so more realistic. And then I usually just kind of twist them back up. But at this bottom, we're going to kind of just glue him together like that. And I'm probably going to cut him a little bit shorter because that's a little bit long. But I like the twisty kind of feel on them. So I'm going to glue him in that seam. And I think I'm going to turn my glue gun to low temp. I always have it on high temp, and there's so much you can do on low temp and not burn yourself. So I think I'll switch it over. And you can put it on there and kind of bend the bottom out of this a little bit and put the glue on there and put it on that way. So how we've got that kind of fanned out. If you need to make a couple slits in it too, that's fine too. I'm gonna put those, no, I guess I'll just set it down over the top. We'll cover those up with our leaves here. So the one thing I want you to kind of think about, is there an area that you like better than the rest? Like that looks really good to me. So now I'm going to go ahead and hot glue my leaves on here. And I'm going to trim those because those are going to show through. A couple more dabs of glue. We'll look at that in just a minute. And you can be using the tacky glue instead of hot glue on your leaves. That is just fine. So I'm going to kind of lay this one down and see where I want my next one. And actually, I think this guy is a little bit too big for this pumpkin. So I'm going to trim him down just a tad. And our last one here. So we've got those, and you don't have to separate them evenly. You can put 2 on one side and 1 on the other side, however you think that should kind of go on. So I think it really helps to kind of have like a raffia bow right there. So I am going to put a raffia bow there, and then I'm going to put a little bit of color, berries, whatever I need to kind of make that a little bit more colorful, to make those colors pop. Need to grab my wire cutters here. And a pencil to twist these around, or you can use your finger and just kind of twist them as you go. I have things that magically appear in my studio. I have things that magically disappear in my studio. So we're going to put that either one side or the other. And it doesn't have to go the way you did it. You can adjust it, move it around, whatever you think you need to do for that. But see how much that right there already really helps it. So we're going to glue that on. Color towards the front. I'm kind of tucking him underneath our bow or our stem, whatever you think that needs. And I'm going to do another one of those, and then I might do a couple of orangey ones too. We'll take a minute and look here in a second if we think it needs it or not. I know I'm going to need 3 of these. At least to kind of fill everything in. And I kind of stuck that one underneath my stem. And I want to kind of look and see if I think those look good or not. Let's take a look and see. Well, a little bit of a curl, but not too much. If I like the colors with that or not. I think I'm just going to do one more of the berries. This one will be more towards our front. So we can even kind of put him down, or however we want to do that guy. Okay, I'm going to put him on my base and work on him a little bit more if I think he needs it. I really like these fall leaves with this guy. I think it really kicks his color up because being the yellow, he's not quite as bright as the orange. These are kind of velvet leaves. I found these at Walmart, not Walmart, Michael's the last couple of years, and I just love them. They are my favorite. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this guy around this outside edge as much as possible because I want to push that down to kind of flatten out that bottom area. So I'm going to go back to my front again, and we're going to push that down in the middle there. I don't want that hot glue to show too much. And if we had done more of the string, it wouldn't show as much, so that's something to think about. And maybe do more string on the bottom. I'm going to flatten that down in there. Just kind of make sure that sits good. Another thing that I thought would be kind of cute is I've got a couple of these acorns that I really like. I thought about putting them with this piece. You can put another raffia bow at the bottom. You can do whatever you want to. Just from here on out, make it your own. Decide what you like, maybe the colors that you like, what goes with your decor, all kinds of fun things, and just make it your own. Well, we finished our pumpkin, and I think that was a lot of fun. Use it for fall decorations or Thanksgiving. There's so much you can do with it. Change up your colors, change your different sizes, and just have fun with it. If you ever have a question, please email me at art@miriamjoy.com. You can always come on over to our store, see what fun things we have going on there at miriamjoy.com. Thank you. God bless.